What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90. Today it is time for the Week 13 Premier League predictions. Now in the Week 12 video, I announced the winning ACCAs we had over the weekend, and now, Monday night, we did it again. Behind me is the accumulator that I gave to the members. You can join the members tab by clicking the join button down below or the link in the description. I know YouTube doesn't have it available for every country in the world. I think they're going to be expanding it, but there's not much more I can do until then. But these were the games in question: the Serie A game between Sampdoria and Roma, Lech Fiorentina, Villarreal Osasuna, and then Bastia Bordeaux in Ligue 2. And these were the picks that I gave. It was Roma to win, Fiorentina not to lose and under 3.5 goals, Villarreal to win, and Bordeaux not to lose. And as you can see, they all came on. £500 returns £3,321.23. So if you do want to get involved with the members only tips, there's also a lot of single tips I give, but I do try and give accumulators because I know a lot of you really do enjoy them. Feel free to click the join button down below or the link in the description. It's just my channel URL and then put /join after it, and that'll let you know if you can join. I also want to give a shout out to the new members of the TF90 Super Tipsters that have joined since the last video: Jay Breezy, Shiraz24, Suzanne Dahal, Chan Tepudom, Salam Shwan, Kartik Nair, Ace T, Marky coming back again, Abdinaser, Megan, Ochpeng, Mezi FIFA, and Mido99. And also a special shout out to the absolute GOAT members, the longest standing members of the channel: David Mariz, Jesse Singh, Joe Asfalk, and Clay Winter. I really appreciate it. Of course, they've got the gold badges there. But enough of that. It is time for a full Premier League card this week, and there's a lot of value to be had. It's going to be very exciting. Perhaps I'll make an accumulator for free for all you guys on the fly as well, based on my picks. So let's get straight into it. Leave your predictions down in the comments, drop a like, and subscribe. First up, it is Nottingham Forest up against Liverpool. I'm not going to dwell on this too much. Nottingham Forest getting a draw with Brighton, but the thing is, they were absolutely dominated, absolutely outplayed, created next to nothing. They're not going to score against Liverpool. I'm going for a 3-0 Liverpool win. There's very little value to be had in this game, but I am going to go for Liverpool win to 0 at 2. I've backed Forest to score a couple of times, and it just hasn't happened. So against Liverpool, I'm going to go for a 3-0 win. So I think Liverpool are going to win fairly convincingly. After that, we have Everton up against Crystal Palace. Now, I don't know the result of the Newcastle-Everton game. I do expect Newcastle probably should walk away winners in that one. But Everton, they're not a terrible team. They're not as good as perhaps people think they should be, right? They should be better, but they're just kind of sitting in that lower mid-table area. And Crystal Palace finally starting to string some results together. We got Wolves, the Leicester draw. They could have scored a couple, but then again, so could have Leicester, and they beat Leeds. I think this is going to be a close game. I'm going to go for a 1-1, and I'm actually going to tip a draw at around 3.1 here. You could go both teams to score at 1.8, but in case it's a weird 0-0, it depends really if Palace have their shooting boots on or not, because when they're clicking and when they're flowing, they look like they can score against anyone. But Everton are quite solid defensively. It's at Goodison Park, so I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw here. Now we have Manchester City up against Brighton. I'll give Brighton a goal for how good they have looked in their last few games, but they haven't scored in their last few games. They've accumulated nearly 5 XG and haven't scored. They've done it all except put the ball in the back of the net. But I think against Manchester City, they have a history of they do tend to score against Man City, and Man City won't mind conceding a goal necessarily. Obviously, Pep Guardiola will, if they score 4 goals. So I'm going to go for a 4-1 Manchester City win. My tip is Man City to score in both halves at 1.72. So it could be 1-1 half time and they could lose 3-2 full time, and the tip would still come in. But I think Man City are going to score in the first half most definitely, and it's hard to see if they've scored in the first half how they don't then go ahead to score in the second half as well. And at 1.72, I really like those odds. Now after that, we travel to Stamford Bridge for Chelsea up against Manchester United. The last few meetings between these two teams have been low scoring, boring, but Chelsea are on a good little run. Again, I don't know if they have beaten Brentford or not, and I don't know the result between Man United and Tottenham, but that's got to be a tough game. I did actually back Man United to get something from the Tottenham game, but I think this might be a step too far. Chelsea are in really good form. They're not even conceding any goals. I do think Man United will be able to score though, but I'm going to edge it to Chelsea 2-1. It's just Graham Potter has had a fantastic start to his tenure at Chelsea, and Chelsea at Stamford Bridge should be able to win this. I think if it was Old Trafford, I'd probably go for a 1-1 draw or a 2-2 draw. But I'm actually going to go against Man United in this one and go for a 2-1 Chelsea win. My tip here is Chelsea double chance and under 3.5 goals at 1.83, because the recent meetings between the two, as I said, have been quite low scoring. Chelsea's wins lately have been quite low scoring as well. 2-0, 3-0, 2. I mean, all under 3.5 goals either way. That's under 3.5 goals. That's under 3.5 goals. So all of these apart from these two losses, would come under the Chelsea double chance and under 3.5 goals. If we look at Man United here, that would work for Chelsea. Obviously, that's a loss, and that was just absolutely mental, but that's Erling Haaland. So I do think Chelsea are just going to shade this one, and they are the better team at the moment. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 win there. After this, Aston Villa up against Brentford. I do not know, obviously, as I keep saying, the Aston Villa-Fulham result. I think Fulham could actually get something at Craven Cottage against Aston Villa, but I'm going to go for just a bit of a random scoreline for this one. I'm going to go 1-0 Brentford. I think Brentford are looking decent. Again, I don't know how they played against Chelsea. They might have grabbed a goal. I predicted them to lose 2-0, but I'm going to go for a bit of a shock 1-0 away win to Brentford. And my tip here, the odds are pretty good. Brentford double chance at 1.72. Can you really say that Aston Villa are going to beat Brentford? I don't see it. They definitely could. Okay, they definitely could. If they play like they played against Chelsea and actually put some of their chances away, they could easily beat Brentford. But I think Brentford have been playing really well lately, and I'm going to just shade it to them 1-0. That could be a bit of an L pick. My tip, like I said, Brentford double chance 1.72. I just think the value for a double chance there's so good. But if there was a game to stay away from, this was one of the hardest ones for me to predict. So I'm going for a Brentford win just to try and get me up the prediction league, basically. After this one, Leeds up against Fulham. I'm going to go for a very high-scoring Leeds win. 3-2. Leeds deserved something when they played Arsenal. They really did. They played really well. They attacked well. I don't know how they got on against Leicester. I don't know how Fulham got against Villa, but either way, I think Leeds are going to bounce back, win this one at home. Fulham will definitely contribute to the goal tally. So I'm going for a 3-2 here. My tip is both teams to score and over 2.5 goals at 2. So the same odds as Leeds to win. I think it's more likely that there's 3 or more goals with both teams contributing than perhaps Leeds win. So I'm going to go for a high-scoring, exciting affair at Ellen Road because I think Leeds, they should have scored against Arsenal, but they ultimately fumbled the bag in the end. Now, after that, speaking of Arsenal, we travel down to St Mary's for Southampton up against Arsenal. Very contrasting records here. A lot of green, a lot of red. Southampton in a spot of bother here. I don't know, again, how they got on against Bournemouth. I think they really could struggle at the Vitality Stadium. And Arsenal obviously don't have a Premier League game against Man City because they're playing PSV Eindhoven in the Europa League, which will not be an easy fixture, but I do still think there'll be an element of rotation in the Europa League squad for Arsenal. I think this is going to be another 1-0 win to the Arsenal. Been getting a few of them lately. We have 1-0 against Leeds. The Liverpool game was just great. I think there was a 1-0 win against I can't remember who it was, Bodo Glimt maybe, in the Europa League, both being a Saka goal in the 30 to 40th minute. So 1-0 to Arsenal. My tip is Arsenal to win and under 4.5 goals. So not to be 5-0, 4-1, etc. And that goes from 1.5 to 1.95 for just Arsenal to win, there not be tons of goals. And I mean, Southampton, they drew with West Ham, even though they got absolutely battered, to be honest. City 4-0, that would work in Arsenal's favour. 2-1 win would work, 1-0 win would work. So all of Southampton's games have been under 4.5 goals, and they're losing most of them. And most of Arsenal's games have been under 4.5 goals, and they're winning most of them. So that makes sense to me. I'm going to go 1-0 Arsenal. After that, it's Wolves up against Leicester. Wolves, they walked away from Crystal Palace with no points. However, I think they could have got a draw, maybe. I think in the end, Palace were the better team. But had Wolves been a bit more clinical, Neves hit the post with a free kick, and they had some really good chances at the end. They looked like a good, free-flowing attacking team at the end of the game. They just couldn't get that final finish, which is just typical of Wolves. I do think they're going to score. Against Leicester at Molineux, if there's anyone you're going to score against, it's bottom of the league. I do think Leicester are going to score as well. I'm going to go for a 1-1. You could look at the draw market here. I think because this game is likely to be kind of low scoring, I think that lends itself well to a draw. But my tip is actually going to be both teams to score at 1.7. I know it sounds crazy to tip both teams to score in a Wolves fixture, but from watching Wolves against Crystal Palace, I think they can score again at Molineux against this Leicester team that have looked really poor this season. Now afterwards, we have Tottenham up against Newcastle. I know Newcastle are doing well this season, but we can't look past Tottenham. Tottenham are going to win this game, and the odds are 1.9. Too much to ignore. I'm going to go 3-1. It could be 1-0, could be 2-0. We'll give Newcastle a goal. Tottenham are going to win this game. I just feel like at the Tottenham, maybe not St. James's Park, but at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, I think Tottenham are going to win. And at 1.9, I could not believe those odds, so I'm going for a Tottenham win. And again, Bournemouth, they've had a great run. I predicted them to get a win against Southampton. They're not going to get a win against West Ham. West Ham are going to win this game, and that is why the odds are the way they are. West Ham to win at 1.5 is my tip, and these are my tips. So let's make an accumulator from it. I think West Ham, Tottenham, Leeds and Fulham, we go to both teams to score and over 2.5 goals. That is my treble. West Ham to beat Bournemouth, Tottenham to beat Newcastle, and a load of goals in the Leeds-Fulham game. 5.85. 10 returns 58.54. If you want to back the heavy favourites as well in Liverpool and Man City, with Man City halftime full-time, you can add those two picks to make it 11.92 to double your return, which I think is a pretty good addition. If you believe this treble's going to come in, to simply add Liverpool and Man City to win heavily is not that risky. So take what you like. I like that a lot. But yes, that is going to do it for the Week 13 Premier League predictions. Please do drop a like, as I said earlier. Subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any future videos, as we do have Champions League coming back once again very, very soon. That is going to do it from me, and I will see you in the next video very soon.